Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to dig into fascinating material and pull out the knowledge you can actually use to, level up your life without getting bogged down.
Exactly. You want the core insights, the practical stuff you can apply right away.
And that's what we aim for. Today, we're diving into Brad Stulberg's peak performance.
Yes. This isn't just theory. It's really about the science behind how top performers operate. Athletes, artists, you name it. And our goal, our mission for this deep dive, is to extract those real-world strategies.
Strategies you can use to boost your own performance, but also, and this is key, how to avoid burning out in the process.
And it's got some serious endorsements. Rich Roll, Kelly McGonigal, they all point to this idea of sustainable success.
Yeah.
Which is what we all want, right?
Absolutely. What really hooked me were those opening stories. The amazing high school runner who just peaked early, and then the super smart consultant whose career kind of stalled.
Right. It immediately poses that question. Why do some people manage to sustain success over the long haul while others just, flame out?
It's the central puzzle, isn't it? And that's what we're unpacking today.
And Stulberg argues the answer lies in what he calls the growth equation. It's simple on the surface. Stress plus rest equals growth.
Okay, stress plus rest equals growth. Let's break that down. The book uses a great analogy, weightlifting.
Yeah, think about it. If you try to lift way too much weight, first time out, probably not going to work, and you might even hurt yourself.
Right. But if you only ever lift super light weights, weights that don't challenge you,
you won't get stronger. You won't grow that muscle. You need that sweet spot, that Goldilocks weight.
something that pushes you, makes you work, but doesn't break you. And Stulberg says this isn't just for muscles. It applies to our minds, our emotions, everything.
Precisely. Constant pushing, no recovery. That's a recipe for burnout. We've all felt that, I think, that exhaustion where you just can't function effectively.
Definitely. But the flip side is also true, not enough challenge, and you just plateau. You don't grow.
So sustainable growth isn't about just grinding harder all the time. It's this cycle, this rhythm of stressing the system, then deliberately recovering.
The book gives some great examples, like Dina Castor, the marathon.
Wow, yeah, incredible. Her training was insane, like 110 to 140 miles a week.
Wow. But it wasn't just the mileage, was it? It was years of that kind of demanding effort, plus the strategic rest that got her to the top.
And it's not just runners. Stephen Siley looked at elite cross-country skiers in Norway. After really hard workouts, they'd actually train pretty easy.
Interesting. Not just push, push, push.
No. And Kenyan runners often do the same super hard days, alternating with really easy recovery days. Stulberg sums it up. All the best follow stress and rest. It's a universal principle among elites.
Okay, so how do we use this? What are the actionable bits, the performance practices?
Well, first look at your own work rhythm. Are you just powering through for hours? Try building in cycles, periods of intense focus, then short breaks.
Like the Pomodoro technique, kind of.
Sort of, yeah. And after a big push, like a major project deadline, consciously schedule some downtime, an off day, maybe even a proper break.
And pay attention to the signs, right? If your focus is slipping, your quality is dropping.
That's your cue. That's the signal you need recovery before you hit that wall. Don't wait for burnout.
Okay, so manage the overall stress and rest cycle. But then the book gets into the mind itself, treating it like a muscle. This involves Roy Baumeister's research on willpower.
Right, the idea that willpower isn't unlimited. It's like a muscle, it gets tired with use.
The cookie experiment, I remember that one. People had to resist tempting cookies.
Exactly, and those who had to use their willpower to resist the cookies, they performed worse on a tough mental puzzle afterwards compared to those who got to eat the cookies.
So resisting temptation, solving hard problems, making tough choices, it all draws from the same limited mental energy tank. That's ego depletion.
And what's really interesting is it's not just mental tasks. If you're mentally drained, even suppressing emotions or doing something physically demanding becomes harder. It's all connected.
But here's the good news, right? It's not just about depletion.
Exactly. Like a physical muscle, this mental muscle gets stronger with the right training stress followed by recovery.
So the more you intentionally practice focusing, thinking deeply, resisting those distractions,
the better you actually get at it over time. Your capacity grows.
Stulberg uses Josh Waitzkin as an example here, chess champion and a Tai Chi world champion.
Yeah, seemingly very different fields. But Waitzkin attributed his success in both to this principle, alternating intense mental or physical stress with proper rest and recovery. It works across domains.
Okay, so we need stress to grow, but not too much, and rest is non-negotiable. Now, the book also talks about how we think about stress itself. It brings in Hans Selye's work.
Right. So Lee kind of stumbled onto the stress response in rats initially. He noticed different harmful things triggered similar physical reactions.
And at first, stress was seen as just bad,
Yeah.
harmful.
Well, yes. But his later work added a crucial layer. He realized stress could also be a trigger for adaptation, for growth. The body can build resilience to specific stressors if the dose is right.
Ah, so it's not just the enemy. In the right amount, it makes us stronger.
Exactly. That's a huge shift in perspective.
It links back to weight skin again, doesn't it? Pushing his mind to exhaustion in chest practice to stimulate growth, just like an athlete pushes their body.
Mm-hmm. Finding that productive edge. And this connects to learning, too, the idea of productive failure.
Productive failure. Tell me more.
Studies show students who really struggle with a complex problem before getting help often learn it better in the long run than those who get help immediately.
Interesting. So the struggle itself is part of the learning process.
Yeah.
Skills come from struggle, as the book says.
Precisely. Think about Daniel Kahneman's System 1 and System 2 thinking.
System 1 is the fast, automatic, gut feeling kind of thinking.
Right. And System 2 is the slower, deliberate, analytical thinking that takes real effort.
And that System 2 effort is where the deep learning happens.
That's it. It's the hard work that builds understanding. But the cool thing is, with enough practice, those effortful System 2 tasks can become more automatic, more System 1, like learning to drive or basic math.
So the key is to see that effort, that moderate stress, not as something to avoid, but as the necessary ingredient for getting better. The dose makes the poison, or the medicine.
Exactly. Reframe stress. In the right amount, it's your friend.
Okay, so if we need this productive stress, how do we make the most of it? The book talks a lot about focus, about deliberate practice. It's not just putting in the hours, is it?
Definitely not. Kay Anders Ericsson's research with violinists is key here. The very best players. They didn't just practice more.
What did they do differently?
They practiced with way more intensity and focus, really zoning in on specific things they needed to improve, cutting out distractions. That's deliberate practice.
So it's about the quality of the practice. Perfect practice makes perfect, not just practice.
You got it. The book mentions Dr. Bob, who apparently lives by single tasking. He structures his day with clear goals and gives his full attention to one thing at a time.
Which is the opposite of how many of us work now, with multitasking.
Right, and multitasking feels productive, like you're juggling all these balls, but the science is pretty clear. It usually lowers the quality and the quantity of your work.
Why is that?
Your brain isn't actually doing multiple things at once. It's switching back and forth really quickly, and that switching has a cognitive cost. It drains energy and focus.
And our phones are huge culprits here, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Stulberg calls them social slot machines.
Yeah.
That unpredictable dopamine hit you get from checking notifications keeps you hooked.
And get this, studies apparently show that just having your phone visible, even if it's off or not yours, can hurt your performance on demanding tasks.
Wow. Just its presence is a distraction.
Mm-hmm. So some practical takeaways, performance practices here.
Yeah, define your purpose for each work block. What are you trying to achieve? Then, date focus. Eliminate distractions as much as possible.
Commit to single tasking, one thing at a time.
And remember, quality over sheer quantity. Better to do one thing well than three things poorly.
Okay, focus stress is good, but we can't just keep adding more focus blocks indefinitely. There's a limit.
Exactly. Stress tolerance isn't infinite. Push past your limit consistently, and that good stress turns bad. It becomes burnout.
So finding the right rhythm again. The book suggests, what was it, 50, 90 minutes of work?
Yeah, something like 50 to 90 minutes of intense focus, followed by a short break, maybe 7 to 20 minutes. That kind of ebb and flow seems more sustainable than trying to maintain moderate effort all day or going full tilt nonstop.
And our mindset about the stress matters too, right? Carol Dweck's growth mindset work comes in here.
Absolutely. If you believe your abilities can grow through effort, the growth mindset, you're more likely to see a challenge as an opportunity, not just a threat.
And how you frame the stress itself. Is it a challenge I can rise to or a threat that will crush me?
That framing makes a huge difference in how your body and mind respond. Our culture often teaches us to just avoid stress, but learning to see manageable stress as necessary for growth is critical.
So summing up the first half of the equation, stress is the stimulus. Find the right dose, apply it with focus, cultivate a challenge mindset.
Perfect. But that's only half the story. The other half, rest, is equally vital. And the book explores different kinds, starting with mindfulness.
Mindfulness, this comes up a lot. Stulberg mentions Chade Meng Tan's program at Google, Search Inside Yourself.
Yeah, designed specifically to help employees switch off that constant stress response, gain clarity, regulate emotions better.
So what is mindfulness, basically?
At its heart, it's just paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judging it. Meditation is like the workout for building that mindfulness muscle.
The book gives a simple technique, right?
It's super simple. Sit comfortably, focus on your breath, the sensation of air coming in and out. When your mind wanders, which it will,
Always does.
gently notice the thought. Don't get mad at yourself. Just gently guide your focus back to the breath. Even a minute or two daily builds the skill.
And there's science behind this.
Oh, yeah. Brain scans show regular mindfulness practice can increase gray matter in the prefrontal cortex.
Which is important for.
Focus, decision-making, emotional regulation, key stuff for performance. And there was that University of Wisconsin study.
The one with the meditators in pain.
That's the one. Experienced meditators showed a different brain response to pain, faster recovery in that prefrontal cortex. It suggests they have more capacity to choose how they respond to stressful stimuli, rather than just reacting automatically.
That sounds like the calm conversation idea the elite runners use, talking themselves through the pain instead of panicking.
Exactly. Creating that mental space to choose your response.
And this ties into heart rate variability, or HRV.
HRV measures the variation in time between heartbeats. It reflects the balance in your nervous system. Elite athletes, regular meditators, they tend to have better HRV and recover faster after stress. The book says the best rest harder too.
So mindfulness isn't just about chilling out. It helps you handle stress better in the moment, stay calmer, and shift into rest mode more effectively afterwards.
Precisely. So performance practices for mindfulness, frequency over duration is key. Little bits often. Apply it in daily life, not just on a cushion.
Have those calm conversations with yourself during tough moments.
And consciously decide to leave stress behind. Even taking a few deep breaths can help activate that prefrontal cortex and signal a shift.
Okay, mindfulness is one form of rest. What else? Sleep comes up huge in the book.
Absolutely critical. Stulberg makes it clear sleep isn't just downtime. It's when major physical, cognitive, and emotional repair and growth happen.
He talks to all these world-class athletes.
And they all prioritize sleep like it's part of their training. Marinda Carfrae, the Ironman champ, literally said, "Sleep might be the most important thing I do."
Wow, that's a statement.
It highlights the balance between catabolism and anabolism.
Okay, catabolism is the breakdown during stress exertion.
And anabolism is the building back up, the repair. That happens mostly during rest, especially deep sleep. Key hormones for growth and repair, testosterone, HGH, are released predominantly during sleep.
So skimping on sleep means shortchanging that recovery and growth process.
You got it. The Stanford basketball study is amazing evidence.
Tell me about that one again.
They got the players to sleep almost 2 extra hours a night. The results: significant improvements in speed, shooting accuracy, reaction time. They actually won more games.
Just from sleeping more.
Seems like it. And they replicated similar findings with swimmers. Sleep is a powerful performance enhancer.
What about naps?
Short naps, like under 30 minutes, can be great for a quick mental refresh. Even just closing your eyes briefly can help. Longer naps sometimes lead to sleep inertia, that groggy feeling.
And it's not just nightly sleep, right? The book stresses longer rest periods, too.
Definitely. Strategic off days, actual vacations where you disconnect. These are crucial for preventing that cumulative stress buildup that leads to burnout. You need real breaks.
The BCG consulting example was fascinating, forcing consultants to take a day off midweek.
Yeah, initially people resisted, thought it was impossible, but it didn't hurt client work and often improved well-being and maybe even productivity. Shows the value of real disconnection.
So, practical tips for rest.
At least one full off day per week, ideally timed after your most stressful period. More stress means you need more rest. It's proportional. Plan actual vacations.
And crucially, really disconnect on those off days and vacations. Put the work phone away, shut down the email. Mental unplugging is key.
Physical and mental rest.
Okay, so we've got stress, we've got rest. The book also talks about setting yourself up for success beforehand, priming and environment.
Right. Proactively getting yourself into the right state. Like athletes have pre-game routines. It's about consciously engineering your physical and mental state for optimal performance.
The idea is your mindset before you start something really impacts how well you do it.
Absolutely. Going in feeling positive, focused, prepared, it makes a huge difference. Positivity helps.
So the advice is to think about your important activities, figure out the ideal state for them, and then create routines to get you there consistently.
Yeah, test things out, see what works for you. Be intentional about preparation.
And this extends to your physical environment too.
Definitely. Stulberg mentions Stephen King's specific writing setup or B.F. Skinner's superstructured routine. Creating a dedicated space where consistent cues signals to your brain, okay, it's time to do X.
Reduces friction, makes it easier to get started.
Exactly. And there's Dade Hamilton optimizing athlete testosterone with specific stimuli, or Mike Joyner being a minimalist in life, cutting out unimportant decisions about clothes or office politics to be a maximalist in his research and family time.
Simplifying the unimportant to focus energy on the important. Makes sense.
So, actionable practices here.
Yeah.
Create dedicated spaces if you can. Develop portable cues or routines for when your environment changes. Consistency is key.
Become a minimalist where it counts. Automate small decisions. Cut out distractions like gossip or worrying about things you can't control.
And even think bigger picture, where you live, your commute. How does your overall environment support or hinder your performance and well-being?
And finally, aligning work with your natural energy levels, your chronotype.
Right. Are you a morning lark or a night owl? Daily Ritual shows great artists and thinkers had vastly different peak times. The key is knowing yours.
And scheduling your most demanding, focus-intensive work during your peak alertness window.
Exactly. Use the lower energy times for less demanding tasks, admin, or even recovery, creative brainstorming, that kind of thing. Don't fight your natural rhythm. Work with it.
So figure out your chronotype, design your day around it, protect that peak time, and use the dip strategically.
You got it.
Okay, the final major theme in the book is the power of connection and purpose.
Yeah, this is huge. It touches on how energy and motivation are contagious. Surround yourself with positive, driven people, build a supportive village. Negativity is contagious too, so choose wisely.
The book mentions superhuman strength in emergencies.
Right, suggesting we have hidden reserves we can tap into when motivation is incredibly high, overriding normal limits like fear or fatigue.
And this ties into purpose. Vic Stretcher's story is incredibly powerful.
Losing his daughter, then finding this profound and new purpose in his work, focusing on how purpose impacts well-being, it changed everything for him.
The idea is that a purpose beyond yourself, a self-transcending purpose, helps minimize the ego and lets you push through difficulties.
It fuels you in a different way, like Jennifer Farr Davis on her Appalachian Trail record attempt, hitting a wall, then reconnecting with her gift of moving through nature and finding the strength to continue.
Or the sculptor Emil Alzamora seeing his demanding art as driven by a purpose to promote positivity.
It reframes the struggle. And for Burnout, there's that give back to get back idea from Shelley Taylor and Adam Grant.
Which seems counterintuitive. When you're burned out, you want to withdraw, right?
Exactly. But they found that intentionally helping others in your field, mentoring or supporting colleagues, can actually reactivate reward pathways in the brain and rekindle your own passion.
Adam Grant's story about coaching divers when he was burned out on diving himself.
Yeah, or Steve, the co-author, finding renewed joy in running by coaching high school kids. It reconnects you to the positive aspects of your work.
So the practice is to find ways to contribute, to help others in your sphere, without expecting anything back. But also remember to still balance that with rest.
Crucial point. Don't replace one form of overextension with another.
And the book offers a process for finding your own purpose based on Vic Stretcher's work.
Yeah, a simplified version. Identify your core values, like maybe 5 key ones, personalize them, write down what they mean to you.
Okay, select values, personalize them.
Rank them in order of importance. Then try to write a purpose statement that links your top values to making some kind of positive impact on others, on something bigger than yourself.
And use that purpose statement maybe as a mantra and reflect on it daily.
Right. How well did I live my purpose today? How can I do better tomorrow? It keeps it front and center.
So, wrapping this all up, the core idea of peak performance really is this dynamic balance. Sustainable success isn't just about pushing harder.
No, it's this interplay between deliberate, focused stress and sufficient high-quality rest.
Guided by focus, by mindfulness.
And ultimately fueled by a strong sense of purpose.
We really hope you'll take some of these ideas and experiment with them. The growth equation, prioritizing rests and sleep, deliberate practice, single tasking, mindfulness, priming your environment.
And maybe exploring that idea of purpose. See what resonates, what works for you in your own life.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider that idea of a self-transcending purpose. How could finding and living your purpose, something beyond just your own goals, unlock new levels of motivation, resilience, and energy for you?
What could that allow you to achieve, not just in terms of performance, but in terms of meaningful, sustainable success? Maybe reflecting on your core values is a good place to start.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.